You are watching Co-op for Two, broadcasting live from Champaign, Illinois, 11 p.m., January 3rd, 2023, Wednesday night. Welcome to the new year. This is our first live stream since the year 2024 began. Did I say 2023 or 2024? Today we're continuing our playthrough of The Hidden Listener, a 12-part, very expensive, very elaborate, the longest, most expensive mystery game I have, cold case game I have. And we're playing episode 5 today. If you haven't seen the previous 4 episodes, this will make no sense. You should stop watching as soon as we start. You can go catch up on the previous streams and join us again tomorrow. We're going to be playing tonight, tomorrow night at least, maybe Friday night as well. Depends on the schedule. There's 12 parts. I think we'll finish it in the next 2 weeks. Next week or two. Let me just check in with the chat. I see my wife has joined us from Tokyo. She's in Tokyo visiting relatives. Normally she would be going to sleep about this time, but it's 2 p.m. in Tokyo, so she's awake. It's nice to have her here. You may know this channel has a Discord where we just hang out and chat most hours of the day and night, and a Board Game Geek Guild where we discuss what games we're going to play. If you're interested in joining us for particular games and you have a game in mind that you think would be fun to play as a group, I hope you will stop by the Board Game Geek Guild and post on the Game Queue thread. I've got a list of 100 or so games that I own that we're willing to play. You can see some new ones behind me here that have come in. I buy all the games we play on this channel myself. That's so that we can be as unbiased as possible. There's 2 things I wanted to say about, remember to say about that. The first one is that yes, I remember I was talking about my wife in Tokyo. One of the viewers in the channel came by and said that they've just gotten back from Japan and bought a couple of mystery games in Japan and played them. And so my wife has picked up a couple of those from Japan that only she can read and understand. So we may figure out a time when she and I will play one of those together on the channel. I don't know how well it'll go. It'll certainly be harder to play a game when I can't understand what we're reading, and we'll have to go through it as a team, but we'll see how that goes. What was the other thing I was going to point out? Maybe just that the Medusa report has come in, and the Vandermist dossier, couple of games that were very well regarded, one brand new from Kickstarter or whatever, however it was funded, I can't remember. Okay, what else should we talk about before we get started here? I did want to recommend something to you. So The Hidden Listener is set in World War II, set in England, and two places that were set up from real life. There's a lot of real life history in this game. Latimer House and Bletchley Park. Bletchley Park did cryptography during World War II. They're the group that broke the Enigma, and Alan Turing worked there. And then Latimer House I didn't know about, but apparently this is based on a true story where they had people listening in to prisoners of war and gaining information from listening to their conversations that the prisoners of war thought were private. And we're learning a lot about actual real history of real operations. And what I wanted to recommend was a new Netflix series that's just come out called World War II From the Front Lines. The 6-part series, about an hour each episode, I believe. I watched it. It's very good. And the hook is that it's 99% just footage from World War II while a narrator is explaining the history of World War II from start to finish. And because it's told in that way, it's the emotional manipulation is very low, or at least of a different type. And you're basically just watching real footage from World War II, from different taken German footage, American footage, British footage, etc., and narrated on top of. And it's colorized, it's very well processed, but you really feel like you're getting a look at what life was like back then. It is moving, it is as neutral. I mean, it's told from a British-American perspective, but it's fairly just the facts, but the facts are brutal. And boy, it does not put our lives do not look good in comparison. We were reading this newspaper from this case about this 25-year-old generals and captains of the Air Force risking their lives every day. I mean, it puts things in perspective, our concerns and worries in the year 2024, at least in America here, obviously not so smooth sailing elsewhere. Okay, what's everyone else up to? Let's check in with the chat. How did everyone spend their New Year's? Professor B asked, has anyone tried the Hunt a Killer Nancy Drew mystery at Magnolia Gardens? I'm looking for a birthday present for my teenage daughter so she can play with her friends. I haven't played it. I have mixed feelings about the Hunt a Killer games, but that does seem like one that might be suitable for a teenage daughter. What other game? We played another game recently that we thought might be suitable. I'm trying to remember it now, though. I do think that's probably a good bet. Soon I have to make a couple of videos recommending where to start if you want to try your first cold case game or your first puzzle game. I've really been remiss not posting those. Anyone else do anything fun over New Year's? I'm still waiting for more reviews to come in for Penny Dreadfuls. There are a couple of games that I'm just dying to see what other people think. Daybreak, Matt Leacock's game, is one of them, and the reviews are starting to trickle in on that, and they are mixed, as I expected they would be, but mostly positive. But Penny Dreadfuls in particular, I'm curious about. That says, I've been working on assembling a 3D wooden model pinball machine I got for Christmas. Whoa, that sounds serious. Is it laser cut? Is that what it is? It's a laser cut wood. Professor B says, New Year's, my wife and kids and I played several short games, Pandemic and one Unblock. Unlock or Unblock? You've written Unblock, but maybe you mean Unlock, because I don't know what Unblock is. Anything else to talk about before we get started here? I guess I'm going to give us a little bit of a recap here. You can see we've started organizing things a little better, and I try to update the notes between sessions, which I have here. This is Anna's been mainly taking these notes, but I've been reorganizing them a little bit. I filled in a little bit more of the timeline, and maybe we'll go through the last box. We'll look through the last box to remind ourselves. I do want to make sure we look at the newspaper and those bus tickets, because it seems like on the Discord, there's a section where people discuss theories of the current case. And someone on the YouTube video suggested they think they saw something, and the Discord, Nicola, who's our puzzle expert, spotted what he thinks is the solution to the ticket puzzle. I didn't read it, though. It's in spoilers, but I'm going to open it up. I think I got the gist of what he was saying, how to solve it. So we'll take a look at it, but if I might need someone to go into the Discord and actually see, if I can't see it, see what it is. So our last box, we went through our last session, we went through the decrypting of the Russian cipher, and our last box helped us with that. And here's the summary of the last box, but maybe we'll look through that last box so we don't have to check on these notes. So let me just quickly go through our last box before we do it. Okay, so what did we get in our last box? 2 letters from Elizabeth, 10 documents, and then the strips to help us decode the Russian cipher. So here is my summary of our Russian cipher. There was the original. These are these 2 strips that when we aligned gave us a Caesar shift of a Russian alphabet. So first step is OCR it, then fix the OCR by hand because the OCR is not perfect, which gave us this. Uppercased it, then hand corrected it. There's the Russian alphabet, which we needed to use online Caesar ciphers. Then here it was shifted with the Caesar cipher. And then here is the translation. You can see a tiny bit still of a bug in the translation, but we think we get the gist of it. The Russian spy is writing, found a dead body on the territory. I did not want the investigation to threaten my position here, so I buried the body where I think no one will find it, waiting for instructions. So we know one of the things going on here is we've got a Russian spy, and we got some details more about that Russian spy, but here's the message they were sending. And we know when that message was sent. Did we get the information about in the last letter? Maybe we don't know when that message was sent, but we do know when a previous one was sent. That was the 3rd of March. They intercepted this one. This one says, German scientists have produced unpiloted projectile capable of hitting targets at great distances. Base of operation in Penund. So basically, there is a Russian spy. That Russian spy is a mole inside Latimer House that's leaking the information that Lizzie finds for the British to the Russians. So this, one of our tasks that Lizzie is trying to find out is who is this Russian spy. Now, this date is important because we know they must have been in Chalfont, the Russian spy, at this date. And now let's walk through the piece of evidence quickly to remind ourselves. We've got a letter with a book code. That was the use of the cookbook recipes to send a secret message. It looks like it was a message about how to decrypt the Russian Caesar cipher. So we think we understand that. Then she's got some messages about the tunnel that goes to the church graveyard. I think we need to look at this again because I don't remember the details about it. She mentions Hamburg and having relatives still there. If you watch that World War II from the front lines, you'll learn about the bombing of Hamburg. What happened was the British decided to escalate the war against the Germans, and they basically destroyed the city of Hamburg with bombs multiple times, civilians, in order to punish the Germans, to try to get the Germans out of the war. It was one of the first times that the Germans were actually bombed after starting the war. So they brought the war home to the German civilians. Okay, let's take a look at these documents very quickly to remind ourselves. We've got Gretchen who disappeared. We've got the date she disappeared and her full name now, 24th September. Remember that when Lizzie arrives at Latimer, Gretchen was already missing, rumors of her either being dead or missing. At this point, she's just missing. Just a note about what they're doing at Latimer House, listening in on POWs and interrogating them. Okay, now here are the people that got transferred to M Room with Lizzie. Lizzie, Neely, Rosa, Goose, Eliza, and Famke. Now, these are people you might expect to be candidates for being the Russian spy. We have a theory that it's actually Lizzie's new boyfriend hanging out at her desk. But at one point, Lizzie writes to Penny and says, hey, I've ruled out it being Gus. So she's obviously thinking the same way we are. Like, is the Russian spy among this group? Because they have access to information she's learning at the M room, which is her new top secret duty. But we think it's someone else. This is just a setup for the fact that they're getting overcrowding in their listening of the general population of POWs. They're going to set up a new place and just keep the high top quality ones. This we already went over. The Russian spy sent a note on 3rd of March. Keep your eye open for anything that would put someone in Chalfont on the 3rd of March or give them an alibi for not being in Chalfont. Here's a little transcript in the M room group that Elizabeth is listening in on. Oh, this is actually a discussion of eugenics, how they're talking about, they've got this, the Nazi POWs are talking about how there was this high-class place where they would meet pure women. This was our telegraph about the different body found. And this was a body found while Lizzie is on site at Latimer House. It's not Gretchen, it's someone else. It's a guy. It's the guy that the Russian note we decoded was talking about. He said he hid a body. He came across a body and he hid it because he didn't want there to be an investigation which might discover him, but he didn't kill the person. So we've got this dead male. We know his name now. It's Sergeant Percival Raper, but we don't know why or who killed him. We just know that the Russian spy tried to hide the body, but they've now found it. And we think this is around the end of July 1943. The reason we think that is because Lizzie's writing to Penny about being interviewed about this in July 1943. We don't know when this person was killed, though. The body is old enough that he may have been killed long ago. May be related to Gretchen, we don't know. Okay, then this is the letter that Lizzie wrote to Penny that they've intercepted, and we know this code. It's a Caesar cipher with a gap of 17, which is what we read in an earlier letter from Lizzie to Penny. Here she says, have ruled out Goosefeld. So here she is, she's trying to find the spy. She's telling Penny, who she's asked for help, that she's ruled out this person. Okay, then they're talking about the new M room where they're going to be listening to the high priority POWs. And then here is the transcript that Lizzie has made about the generals talking about the V-2 rockets. And once he's talking about once the Germans master it, they're going to win the war. This is the information that the spy seemed to have leaked. So that's our box 4 review, and just a couple notes here, a couple operations that were mentioned, but that's about it. Is there anything that I have not recapped sufficiently before we move on to the next box? I guess the only thing I didn't really recap is why we think it's her boyfriend, Carl. And I did want to point out that what made me so suspicious was that one of the letters that Lizzie is writing to Penny, where she's describing when she hooked up with Carl, she says how, well, rather than try to find it, I'll just summarize it. She says basically, she's writing to Penny, she says how romantic it was. I came back from lunch and on my desk was a candy bar from Carl. In other words, Carl had stopped by her desk and was at her desk right about the time when the information leaked about the V2 rocket. So it feels like he has maybe used that as an excuse to come by her desk and rifle through her records. And it says, it's strange how they say Gretchen next of kin, Sergeant Meyer, didn't care about Gretchen's disappearance, or at least show. Let me reread that. Maybe I glanced over that too quickly. So that would have been the telegram. No, not the telegram. The note about Gretchen. Let's find that. Let me see what Anna's talking about. Sergeant Gretchen Meyer failed to report. They did a search. They couldn't find her. Known associate Amelia Mazur unable to explain Meyer's absence. Next of kin contacted. However, Sergeant Meyer has made no approaches. I think, Anna, what they're saying is they've contacted the next of kin and the next of kin hasn't heard from her. I think what they're saying is they contacted the next of kin to see if maybe Gretchen had gone AWOL and gone home. And they're saying the next of kin hasn't heard from her. Okay. All right. Are we ready to get the next box? Anna says yes. She thinks that is now the correct interpretation. DJ Moneycut says, I suspect the Sergeant Wesley murderer. Well, when you say you suspect that, I'm not sure what you mean. You surely can't mean you suspect the person who murdered Sergeant Wesley to be the Russian spy, because the whole point of the Russian spy writing that note was that they weren't the killer. Of course, they may have been the person who killed Gretchen, if Gretchen is in fact dead, but we haven't found Gretchen's body, so we don't know that Gretchen is dead. All right, well, let's open this next box. Looks like I've got the camera tilted a little bit too much. If you're interested in starting your own board game channel, you might watch my video series. I did a whole series on how to set up a studio, but I have a camera set up so that I can adjust it easily, but looks like I need to. Okay. As you know, we've been working with the National Archives, returning letters censored during wartime to their respective families. As part of this work, we've identified 2 letters originally addressed to Penny Vinnick, who, as you know, was a correspondent of Elizabeth Phillips. Realizing the connection to the investigation in hand and already in communication with Megan Deverell on the matter, we were also able to obtain permission from her to send the 2 letters directly to you. In addition, the team have located a further 11 documents in the National Archives that we were permitted to photocopy as part of the ongoing investigation. One of these appears to be a copy of a letter also between Penny and Lizzie. Just this morning, our team located a box containing personal effects from the Hutts at Latimer House and have informed me they have found a diary from 1943, which appears to have been written by Elizabeth Phillips. They're currently seeking permission to return this to yourself, and it is my hope that we will be able to forward this to you next month. Next month, we're going to get Lizzie's diary. Pretty cool. Within this box of personal effects, they also found a small cog, which appears to have been have Elizabeth's initials on it. We obtained permission and are pleased to be able to include this also. Okay. So Jonathan is reminding here that I forgot to do the bus ticket. Okay, so we're going to put this aside for a minute, and we're going to open up the newspaper and see if we can figure out the bus ticket thing. It sounds like, from what I could see on the Discord, that maybe Anna was partially right about insisting that they all get put in a row. Okay, so let's recap what we had here. In the letter, let's see, which one was it? There's our bus tickets. Okay, so we identified in the letter that the letter that Lizzie wrote to Penny, here it is, that it was very suspicious and it looked like it related these tickets to the newspaper. She says something very odd. One day we'll be able to visit London again by bus and share a bottle of Bordeaux. Hey, did you say your runner's name was Washington? So these three proper nouns, London, Bordeaux, Washington, really jumped out. Anna was saying Bordeaux, that's a weird thing to say. And then we looked at it more and we said, well, look, this whole thing is weird. Visit London by bus. Like, why is she saying that? Then these are bus tickets. So it all started to make sense. We looked in the newspaper and we saw there's an article here about Bordeaux, and this looks like it fits, basically. So we thought, okay, let's look for articles in the paper with Washington and London. And we found the Washington one, which was the third thing mentioned. Bordeaux was the second thing mentioned. And then we went looking for London and we couldn't find it. And that's where we got stuck. We tried all different things. And Anna was at some point saying, look, doesn't it make sense? Put them all in a row. And then I was saying, that doesn't make any sense at all. Why would Bordeaux and Washington go here, but the other one is London? We looked for articles with London. There's London all over. There's 2 articles with London. On the front page, there's one here. There's one here. Okay, but I can see now one of the points was made on the Discord was, read this title out loud. 2 blockade runners sunk in Atlantic. And she says, did you say your runner's name was Washington? So there we go. That threw us. But it seems like surely that this runner's reference is our reference here, not Washington, not London. So Bordeaux, runner, Washington, maybe. So if we do that, then we get Bordeaux. Sorry, then I guess we get Bordeaux first instead of London. And then Washington third and runner second. But that still doesn't quite spell a word, does it? E-G-E-H-T. Bordeaux, runner, Washington. 1, 2, 3. That's an I. I-G-E-H-T. Okay. Well, now we've got a word. Do we? No. I-G-E-H-T. Is it I or is it T? Well, what is that supposed to mean? Let's write it out in case I'm just blanking on this. I-G-E-H-T. All right, what is that supposed to be saying? So I didn't read the rest of the Discord because I thought maybe we could try to figure it out here. But what do you think this means? Read the top line, the middle, and the bottom. RXIG. Boy, I can see I'm already This is exactly where I started to get frustrated before. Okay. Trying to keep them from... Okay. I think what the channel is saying is start here. EIGHT, so 8 is what you think it's trying to say. EIGHT. If you start here at the top, EIGHT, because they're in that row. Okay. So this makes sense that this is what the Nicola figured out and found. It makes some sense. It's a horrible message. Absolutely insane that you would do it this way and that you'd come up with a code that has you do it in these orders, but this is at the top. I just think this is terrible on the designer's point of this game. But okay, I do agree that this is likely the message. But now, what do you think this is about? 8, how does that help us? Was the Russian cipher shift an 8 shift? No, it wasn't. It was a 5. So it's not telling us the shift of the Russian Caesar cipher. What do you think it was telling us? Okay, so I think we have decrypted the message, the code. I am very unhappy with that as a puzzle, but I do agree that that's what it is. Now the question is, what is that supposed to be telling us? Jonathan says, wasn't the wood puzzle 8 by 8? Is that trying to tell us the clue? So this came in the same message that we got a wooden puzzle that we did figure out. That was an 8 by 8 puzzle. So Jonathan is theorizing maybe it was a hint about the puzzle. That would make it so much worse. That would make my complaint about the puzzle even worse than before. That it's a ridiculous hint for a puzzle that was much easier to solve. Petiol says, I don't buy it. I don't buy that it had to do with the wood puzzle. The area of the puzzle was 64, which is a much easier way to figure out it's 8 by 8. I agree with you. I agree with you. All right. Everyone is on the same page that would be crazy to make this hint about the puzzle being 8 by 8, since that was relatively obvious compared to how crazy this was. Okay, well, let's worry about it later. We do know the date it was sent. It was sent fairly early in May, so I don't know. But we can leave that aside now. It is a relief to have solved that code. Good work for those of you who figured that out. I don't like it. We'll talk about this. Do remember that when we finish this 12-part game, after 12 sessions, dozens of hours, we're going to talk about this game. Was it worth the $400? What's good about it? What's bad about it? What we liked, what we didn't like, favorite moments. So I do hope, if you join me for this epic playthrough, that you will keep a pencil and paper nearby and jot down notes as we play, thoughts that you want to make sure to talk about when we finish this case, things you liked, things you didn't like, etc. Okay, so let's go back. This is a wonderful letter. We've got documents, letters, and a little bit of foreshadowing that we're going to get a diary soon. That's pretty exciting. Okay, so in addition to the letters, they found another letter in the archives, and now they found a cog with Elizabeth's initials on it. Okay. All right, the letters, documents, lots more documents, and a wooden cog. it is nice that the pace of the material seems to be even picking up. So what are we looking at here? Looks like just something you would use for a Caesar cipher. Now remember, we had another we had a Caesar cipher wheel in one of our boxes. We didn't need it because I have my own, but we did have this. Now, was this, I can't remember if this was one of Penny's possessions or one of Elizabeth's, but it does look like you could use it here and then have like a three-way. Is it in the same exact alignment? Let's see, if you lined it up, it's not quite, but it's pretty close. Like you could use these together. Look how it goes the other way, though. These, I guess these are going counterclockwise, while the wood one is going clockwise with the alphabet. So I wonder if this couldn't be used for an @bash code, a code where you're going for the reverse, like A goes to Z, B goes to Y, and so on. Okay. Or maybe we're going to get another piece of this cog later. Nothing otherwise unusual, right? It is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Okay. Well, let's, I don't remember. I guess I don't want to forget what box that came in. All right. And then let's read our letters here. Maybe we'll read these letters. We'll take a break soon before we go through the rest of the documents. All right, what have we got? We got more censorship here too. 4th of October, 1943. From Penny to Lizzie. How are things progressing with Carl? It must be difficult. What with you? Where's our way to read this better? What with you? Something London. Is there a better way? Did I used to be able to read this better? What am I? What with you being in London most weekends? Okay. How are things progressing with Carl's? It must be difficult with you being in London most weekends to find time to be together, especially now the weather's turning. Do you have a chess club? We have one here. Of course, the men in the place are all far better players than I am, so we have several different leagues. Otherwise, none of us amateurs would stand a chance. I've made friends with someone called Joan recently. She works in somewhere. She works in somewhere as well, but they've refused to let her join the league as apparently she's not as good. She's better than most of our group, though, but we're nearly evenly matched, which makes chess much more interesting. It's all very well being near the top, but unless you have a near equal in terms of skill, the matches are less of a challenge and more of a time-filling exercise. I got your little cookbook. I don't know when you think I'll have time to learn to cook, but I appreciate the sentiment. No Scornafessa options in there, I note. What is she saying? No something options in there? Nothing there's some dish. I guess your mom could use it in the vegetable stew. And she says, I found a Fair Isle knitting pattern in the local library. I thought it might be good for those socks you want to knit. I copied it out as best I could. Hopefully you can make something of it. It was socks you were thinking of knitting for his Christmas present, wasn't it? And then I think this is what she has sent along with this letter. So we've got another code here. Anything jump out here? You could imagine that. Well, it's another knitting code, but she uses different things each knitting code. I was just looking at these M's, and it looked like maybe it was Morse code, like dash is 2 M's, dot is 1, like dash, dot, dash, dot, 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 dash, dot. And then you look at some of these others, they're all standalone X's, so that doesn't really work. It's not symmetric, which makes it look like it could be a code, but it looks like maybe actually the X's might be fillers to me. Like the X's are all in a fixed pattern. And we've seen in all of the codes they've sent, they're sort of using ignorable fillers to make it look like a sewing pattern. So it almost looks to me like the X's are not content, that they're just fillers. Then if you do that, you've only got M's and E's. 3, 6, 7. And the rest of them are not symmetric. It's only well, the X's aren't symmetric either, but they're fairly regular, although this does not look very regular over here. They do look like fillers to me, the X's, though. Let's see what the chat thinks. Petiel says, I don't know if it'll be relevant, but knitting patterns are usually read bottom to top, right to left. Interesting. I think the fact that it's a Fair Isle pattern might be some kind of hint. Okay. Could it again be Morse code? It absolutely could be, but I think the real thing to key onto there is the reminder that Perry gave us just now, that we're always given a little hint about the code in the message. And here she is telling us. She says, I found a Fair Isle knitting pattern. Fair Isle. I think that is a big clue, Fair Isle. There is something called a fair play cipher. What's the fair play cipher? What is a fair play cipher? Not in this book. Martin Gardner talks about it. I'm pretty sure there is such a thing as a fair play cipher. Playfair. That's what I'm thinking of. Playfair. Playfair cipher looks like a hard one to figure out. The matrix. That doesn't seem like what we're dealing with here. No. And it says, Fair Isle is a knitting pattern from Scotland. Petiole says, again, I don't know if it's relevant, but knitting-wise, Fair Isle is an island off northern coast of Scotland known for complex color work patterns. And then Antina was talking about it being possible Morse code, which is what I was sort of seeing before with like the M's. Like this line here looks like Morse code. Like 2 M's is a dash, dot, dash, dot, 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 dash. Of course, you'd have to know where the letter breaks are. And those are kind of odd letter breaks, but it's possible. I mean, maybe we should try to decipher this one line that jumps out the most. That's because they're M's. The mixes of E's and M's are a little more unclear because now we've got some triples, so I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. But maybe and then here, like, that's not Morse code. The X's could be breaks. Well, if X's are breaks, then how do you do this here? But then Petiole was reminding us they could be reading it bottom to top, right to left. It's hard to see the message going this way, though. Feels like it's much more this way. But where's our... I wouldn't mind doing a quick Morse code on the line that looks most like Morse code to me. Let's see. And then maybe we'll take a little break after we play with this for a little bit. So I was thinking, if it's going to be Morse code, the line that jumps out to me is this one here. But I'm not... let's see. It would be like dash, then word break, dot, dash, dot, word break, dot, dot, dash, word break, dot, 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 word break, dash, dot, dash, dot, dot. TRUS, that's actually not so bad. But then our last word, wait, okay, is that because I didn't put a space? TRUS, let me just see here. Dash is its own word, then dot, dash, dot is the next word, then dot, dot, dash is the next word, dot, dot, dot is the next word, then this is its own word, there's a new T, dot, dash, dot, dot, trusted. Okay, so we've got a little bit of Morse code here, at least for the M lines, maybe all of them. Okay, so we figured it out. This is the line that looks most like Morse code to me. It's just one symbol. We've got a 2 break between letters. Okay, now the question though is it all that same Morse code? That's our M line. Because this clearly isn't Morse code. I wonder if it's, well, the rest of it, they could be fillers. It could just be the M's. Okay, let's try to go up and do this line here. That's got a mixture of E's and M's, because this feels like maybe the E's are fillers and it's only the M's. Let's try this line here. So before the trusted line, we have another line. I'm going to start here. Dash, dot, 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 space, dot, space. Okay, that's what it is. So I've decoded this line with Morse code, only paying attention to these M's. And that's what we've got, be trusted. Okay, so now I'm going to move upward to this line here, just the M's with a double space being the letter break. But this is the first time we've seen a triple. I'm not sure how to read that, but I'm going to treat it like just a dash. So dash, dash, dot. And then we've got a word break, and then we've got a dot, dash, word break, dash, dot. And now the whole thing went crazy because of that. Okay, so clearly this is not G-A-N. It's supposed to be C-A-N. So what do you think? Dash, okay, is this supposed to be a break? No. How do we get MMM? So I've read this as dash, dash, dot, but that can't be right. So what is a C? How do you get a C in Morse code? What is this MMM really? Is it supposed to be, instead of a dash, 2 dots? No. 1 dot? No. Dash and a space? Can someone tell me what C is? Dash, dot, dash, dot. Dash, dot, dash, dot. Okay, so maybe MMM. Is it possible that MMM means dash, dot, dash, dot? And then we've got dash, dot, dash, dot. Okay, so I think MMM is dash, dot. So dash, dot, and then we've got space, dash, dot, no. Dash, dot, dash, dot. That's our C. And then this is extra. And then dot dash is our A. Okay. So C is dash dot dash dot. And what we've got here is dash dot. And then we've got another dash dot. So this is all one letter. And this is the same as this. This is a dash dot. So if you see 3 M's, it's the same as if they wrote this, dash space dot. Okay, can be trusted. Okay, now we move up here and do this. Looks like we're never going to see another triple, so it doesn't matter. Okay, our next line is dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, space, dash, dot, dash, space, dot, space, dot, dash, dot. She's ruling out another suspect. So Ecker can be trusted as this line here. Okay, so now we're going to have our last line of the message, our last content line of the message, which is up here. So we've got, starting with this M here, we've got, and ignoring the X's, dot, dash, letter break, dash, dot, letter break, dot, letter break, dash, 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 letter break, dash, dot. Doesn't seem quite right, but what have I done wrong? Where are our names? Where is our list of names? Anyone curve can be trusted. Okay. Is she trying to say someone on this list can be trusted? What have I translated wrong? Something's wrong here. Just the M's. So I've got dot, dash, and then dash, dot, and then a dot, and then dash, 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 and then dash, dot, and dot, dot, next one is dot, dash, dot, dash, dot. Anyone can be trusted. Let's see what the channel, maybe the channel can make sense of this. What's Ecker's first name? But who's Ecker? I don't have an Ecker. We don't have an Ecker on our list, so I don't know who she's talking about. Well, let's make our note here. Can be trusted. Strange. Why is dash dot dash dash? Do you think I've mistranslated something here? Anyone, you think the E that I translated, which is, there's A, N, you think I've translated this as an E, but it's not an E? Sure looks like a standalone dot. Then we've got O, N, dash, 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 dash is here. Or that was the dot. Well, if we find someone named Ann Onaker, then we know we've got the message. This Feminite says, I think typos abound. Petiel says you've left off the cur. Okay, don't know what that means, guys. You gotta give me more if you're telling me. I don't know if you're talking to me. I don't know if you're talking to someone else. I don't know what you're saying. There's our first line. There's our second line. Of course, maybe we're supposed to be using the E's. Maybe the E's are not are just fillers. Certainly look like they're fillers, though, given a line like this. Which was the list of okay. The channel, you're gonna have to do better. To the channel, I say you're gonna have to do better. You're gonna have to, when you want to make a point, you're gonna, if you want me to get it, you're gonna have to explain better as a full statement what you're trying to say, because it doesn't make sense to me. If I read something like, you've left off the CKER on it, and then I look at the screen and I see CKER, then I have to ask myself, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Okay. So the question about what are the list of names, here's our list of names of the people that she's transferred to M House with. So those people don't seem to be candidates for that list. Like is it saying anyone? Is it saying Ann Ecker? We don't know, but we don't have anyone with that name on our list here, which this list should be in our notes, so we could refer to it easily. And if we do look at our notes, where we're supposed to have a list of people, we don't have anyone of any name that seems similar to that. So I don't know. Let me just break this up according to our Morse code. I want to at least get the line breaks in here. So we've got, here, that's the way to do it. Okay, our first, it would be nice if this thing was willing to give us breaks between words. Like, I really don't like that it's not capable of giving us breaks. So we can't tell where a line break is. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our first one is 5 letters. Right? Ends at the N. Our second line starts down here with our E and goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. 5 letters. And then our next line is here, which is 3 letters. 1, this is a trick, but 1, 2, 3 letters. 3 letters. Then our next line was our last line down here. No, then we have another one. Where's our other one? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. What's happened? One. Okay. Frustrating. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the next one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we've got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we've got as our last line. So there's a line missing. Anyone? Oh, you're saying I'm missing the CKER in my writing here. Okay. Anyone CKER. Okay, that's what the part about missing CKER was on my written thing. Okay. You left the CKER off your index card. Thank you. I get it now. Okay, I appreciate that. That's what you have to say. You have to give me full statements when you give me ideas here. Otherwise, I just can't follow it. Okay, so I'm trying to figure this out so that I can have a chance at catching typos. So this was our 3-letter word, which was here. And then we're down to here, which is our 2 letters, B, E. Not 2 letters, but 1, 2, and T, R, U, S, T, E, D. Okay. So I would note that these are line breaks. So there is actually a line break between these words. Can be trusted. So this almost feels like this is going to be someone's name. Ecker, Annian Ecker. So let's put this aside. Maybe they're going to get mentioned in the next letter as a real person, but they're not on our list. So, okay, that was a little more frustrating than it feels like it had to be, given that we figured out very early it was Morse code. Maybe it's pointing to some sloppiness in the system that I'm using for Morse code. Like, there has to be a better way to make less mistakes and less struggle. All right, let's take our break here. We did decode this message, so at least there's that. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we're back. And I need to apologize for getting so snippy with the channel. I've noticed that the thing that's most likely to trigger me is when I'm having to like keep my place. I'm doing something like this and I'm trying to like keep my memory of where we are. My stress level goes up and I become very snippy with everyone. So I apologize for that. All right, well, we've decoded it, I think. It's either going to turn out to be someone's name or that anyone something means something. We'll figure it out as we go. Let's continue with our decoding here. Okay, another message. This letter was from October, 4th of October, from Penny to Lizzie. And the censors got it, but passed it along. And here's again from Penny to Lizzie on April. So actually this one came first. Hastings? I have fond memories of visiting there in the summer. There's a lovely pair of something on the cliffs. Do you think I will get to meet him? Things here are returning to normal now that one of our top men is something. One of our top men is... I can't tell what that says. I feel like we used to be able to read this better, easier. Can anyone read that? Don't know. Did I tell you he chains his mug to the radiator to stop anyone from using it? Remind me to tell you about him when we meet next. Surely somewhere on one of these letters we're going to hear about Alan Turing. He's quite eccentric. You'd love him. I know you would. You love all lame ducks and oddballs, and he definitely fits into that camp. One of the top men is what? What is it? What does it say? Funiculars are on the cliff. That was the first thing it's saying. Don't know what it says. Okay, you'd love him. I know you would. You love all lame ducks and oddballs, and he definitely fits into that camp. I don't know where we'd be without him, though. Eccentricities aside, I think she is talking about Alan Turing. She says Alan thinks about things in a totally different way than the rest of us, which gives us the edge, I think. So she must be talking about Alan Turing, but what is she actually saying? One of the top men is back. Okay. Thinks in a different way to the rest of us, which gives us the edge. I think I'm just thankful the Axis don't have an equivalent person on their side or we'd be sunk. I had a go at your knitting pattern, but you know what I'm like with knitting. All fingers and thumbs and drop stitches. You would have thought I would have got better with all the spare time during the cold winter nights here, but it seems like a mystery to me. We should meet up. When are you next in London? Signed, Penny X. Okay, so there doesn't seem to be any content in here except for the fact that she's talking about Alan Turing, who helped crack the Enigma code, very famous mathematician. Looks like we're not really we haven't figured out what this is, but it doesn't seem important. She's definitely talking about Alan Turing here. All right, now, and we did the cog. So then the rest of it are these documents. All right, let's do what we did before. Let's sort them in order. April, May. Okay. Looks like we've got more people. one doesn't have a date. August, September, October, November, of October. Don't know. 12th December. Okay, so we've got two that we don't know the dates. I see more names here, though. Okay, let's go through the ones we do have dates for. Could that part say back from the U-3? U-3 is a type of German sub. I don't think Alan Turing was on any submarines. Now, the Enigma was used on submarines. In fact, the Navy, German Navy, had a advanced Enigma. It was much harder for them to break than the ground forces Enigma. But he wasn't on any subs. Back again from something. Back from the U.S. That's possible, but I don't... It's possible. It's not important. Okay, let's start going through our documents here. Here we go. April 1st. To Townsend from Colonel Kendrick. These are the people in charge of this, but Latimer. More of opinion, Sergeant Elizabeth Phillips has a natural aptitude for intelligence work and may be the individual we're seeking for Operation Ezekiel. We've heard of this before, this Operation Ezekiel. Suggest you assess her suitability. Recommend putting her in charge of a small group. See how she does with increased responsibility. Okay. More of the eugenics conversation. This one from 5th of May. This game likes to interleave timelines, so we may have to match this up with our previous conversation overheard about eugenics. Do you have children? Of course. How many? 7, I think, possibly even 8. 8 children. Your wife must be glad that you are here. I didn't have them all with my wife. Not with your wife. 6 of them belong to the Führer. I have good genes. Who looks after these children? The women in their homes. They are well looked after. They are destined for great things. I do not see them. Are they all in the same home? No, I was sent to many Lebenhauer institutions. It was exhausting. Okay, so they're talking about more how they were breeding these Aryan babies to create the master race. I had no idea that they were doing this stuff in real life, but it seems like it's real. And Tina reminds us, Townsend was also the person who signed the identification of the death certificate, the fake death of Elizabeth, we think. Okay, here's Operation Jasmine guests. 13 generals identified as being suitable for initial trial of Operation Jasmine. Okay, so generals request intelligence on all known wives and mistresses in Germany. So we've written down these different operations, but Jasmine is one of them we've seen before, but I didn't make notes about what each operation was. But maybe this is this classification war crimes. So, and Kendrick has signed it. So I don't know what this means. They're going to put them in a room, let them talk to each other. I'm not sure. Perry says there is a B. Ecker on this list. There is a backer. What does our note say? It doesn't seem like this is anyone here. Anyway, it's not going to be one of these people that can be trusted or not, I don't think. I think they've got to be talking about one of the people that they suspect of being spies, I think. Okay. More war. Oh, here's the war crimes. We have it too good here. Too good, we're prisoners. This is not the type of prison that we have in Germany. I know the English are too soft. They have no idea how to treat prisoners. They want an out anything. They won't find out anything. Indeed, I have been trained to resist interrogation. I have seen what happens to traitors. What do you mean? In Berlin, there was something of a something. There were all of them. They were shot, all of them. There's a mutiny of all. They shot our own people? Anyone who is not for us is against us. Submission from the inside cannot be tolerated. Subversion from the inside cannot be tolerated. We all need to be determined in order to win this war. Okay, so this is shows the cleverness of the English. They think they're preparing to be forced and interrogated and tortured to get information, whereas the British said, just put them in a room, let them think they're no one's listening, and we'll just get the information that way. Okay. Next up, to Colonel Kendrick, 5th of October. Recommend briefing E. Phillips, Latimer House, and P. Vinnick, Bletchley Park, into Operation Spring. The pair have uncovered the situation independently and have brought this to my attention today. They may prove valuable to the team. So Penny and Elizabeth have been talking about a possible spy. It sounds like maybe they may have brought it to Townsend's attention in October. That may be what he's talking about. And he's saying, hey, maybe we got to bring him in to this operation. We may have to start looking up these operations and make better notes of them. I wrote down a list of them, but I didn't write down what we think they're about. But this seems like they have uncovered this situation independently, brought it to my attention. It seems like maybe Penny and Elizabeth went to Townsend and said, there's a Russian spy. And it says it could be Neo Becker can be trusted. Okay, well, that means nothing to me. So that doesn't happen. Okay, here's Operation Jasmine review. The facility is performing to expectations. Early reports indicate that this will be a valuable source of additional intelligence to complement Latimer House and Trent Park facilities. First time we've heard about Trent Park. As with all operations, the intelligence gathering will be restricted by occupancy levels and staffing. It should be recognized the Operation Jasmine poses more security risks than other operations, and I do not propose any extension to the operation at this time. Elizabeth Phillips has proved a suitable lead on the project. She is efficient and consistent. Phillips is popular with the operational staff and understands the limitations affecting the M Room team due to her experience working in the M Rooms at Latimer. She is fluent in German and committed to the necessity of the project. All reports from operation are collated by Phillips and flagged as needed. All intelligence forwarded from Jasmine identified on reports as J1LH. So J1 is Jasmine, LH is Latimer House. I believe Jasmine may prove a useful recruiting tool for sympathizers. The operation serves to highlight the worst of Nazi attitudes, making it a suitable mirror of reflection for the more sympathetic detainees. There is a general currently at Trent Park who we have identified as possible traitor. He appears disenfranchised with the Nazi regime and may turn given the right encouragement. Well, this does go back to me saying, hey, it's not going to be one of these she's saying is trustworthy. But now he's saying, look, here's what we can do. I think he's saying we're recording them talking about eugenics or something bad. And if we provide this information to these German generals who look like they're on the fence about whether they're willing to jump sides, we might be able to pull them over to our side and recruit them. And he's talking about there is a general at Trent Park who could turn on the Germans. And maybe we can convince him to come work for us if we show him this information. All right, keep your eyes open for J1LH. Maybe we better put a note about that. J1LH is Jasmine. Operation Jasmine looks like it might be to try to find someone to convert to a German POW to switch sides. Has Trent Park been mentioned before? No, we haven't. This is new to us, Trent Park. Operation Jasmine. New staff approved for secondment to Operation Jasmine. Neely Fitz and Anna Franzmeyer. Trent Park. Okay, so they're putting together this Operation Jasmine. Colonel Kendrick from C. Townsend, CSDIC prisoner transfer recommendations. Recommend General Habich be moved from Trent Park to Latimer House. He appears anti-Nazi and may turn, given the right incentives, and removed from influence of pro-Nazi generals at Trent Park. So Trent Park seems like it might be a sister operation to Latimer House, another POW camp. General Adenauer proving a negative influence on all generals within Trent Park. Recommend transfer to alternative accommodations. We do not expect to obtain further intelligence from him. He is suspicious, wary, and merely recites propaganda. Okay, so at Trent Park, they've got a POW general, Adenauer, who's keeping all the other prisoners from talking and reinforcing their allegiance to the Germans. So they're like, get him away from the rest of them. He's a bad influence. And they want to move this guy, Habich, over to Latimer House, where they might even be able to flip him. Okay, so this is the letter, one of the letters they uncovered in the archives from Penny to Lizzie. What's the date on this? December 43, so right after the Christmas cards and stuff. Oh, drop of ink. So this has been photocopied. Friends here are asking after you. Perhaps the next long holiday weekend we have planned, we can meet up. Christmas is fast approaching. Are the socks made up yet for Kay? Knowing you, it's all very last minute. Friday, we have a chess tournament planned. Prize is a long lie-in on New Year's Day. Hopefully, it's not impossible for me to win this time. It would be lovely for Joan to have to cover my shift. Going to the picture house with Rupert tonight. In all probability, we won't see much of the film. Wink, wink. It's snug in the seats at the back, and we've only been caught out once by Veronica, who wasn't very impressed at our indiscreetness. Roll on the spring is all I can say. Bet you can't wait to see all those sleepy bunnies on the riverbank. Remember that sleepy bunny was the code word she was using, and riverbank. These are the two code words for a Caesar cipher of minus 17, difference between a B and an S, and an R and a, well, not an R and a B. Okay. Something different. Veronica has been creating acrostic poems about everything she can think of for Christmas for her cousin Julie to read out on Christmas Day to her parents. For her cousin Julie to read out on Christmas Day to her parents. For your information, her acrostic poetry is boringly dull. This seems like some clues here. I bet you can't wait to see those sleepy bunnies. So, on the riverbank. So, this was part of the code, the information that we were supposed to use as Caesar Cipher 17. We can find that message, but it said like Sleepy Bunny and then River something. I guess it wasn't Riverbank though. And then she's saying this weird thing here. Veronica's been creating acrostic poems. What's an acrostic poem? About everything she can think of for Christmas. For her cousin Julie to read out on Christmas Day to her parents. For your information, her acrostic poetry is boringly dull. That sounds like she's giving us a clue. And then that's it here. That's weird. Channel says, and it's a Caesar cipher for the capital letters Sleeper Bunny with Caesar 17. Yes, that's what I said. But now Cody says, composition, an acrostic poem is a composition in which certain letters in each line form a word or words, is an acrostic. Read the first letter of the rose. Acrostic. Okay, so this may be just more hint to how to solve that other code that we already solved. December, we might check when that message was that had that acrostic then. See if that is what, that may be simply a hint. Let's go see if that message was from December when we got that. Let's see. It was in package 3, I think. So here was the code that was acrostic, common letter, 17 April. Okay, well, it's not definitely not near Christmas, so I don't know if that means there's another acrostic coming at some point or what. She definitely seems to be talking about Christmas, though. Maybe we need to go back and look at that Christmas letter and see if there's something hidden. Okay. And it says this letter has capital letters, and this letter also uses Caesar 17, according to Sleeping Bunny. I see. You're saying this letter itself. So you think maybe if we take the capital letters or the first letters of each sentence and do a Caesar cipher on them, roll on the spring is all I can say. Sleeping Bunny's capital. Yes, you have a good point. All right. Let's see what we've got here. If we write all the capitals, F, P, C, A, K, K, F, P, C, A, K, K, Friday, surprise long lion on New Year's Day. Actually, that Y doesn't look like it's capitalized. This is a clue that these are capitalized when they don't need to be, so that's a good clue. And then she says, hopefully. And then it looks like maybe I, J, G, Rupert, maybe an I. Da, 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 da. Veronica, roll on the spring is all I can say. I bet you can't wait to see sleepy bunnies on the river. Veronica, Christmas, Julie, Christmas. These are all the capitals, but maybe we should only be looking at the starts of sentences. But then why would she capitalize long lion? And it says not all the capitals. Well, let's translate this and then let's see. Let's do a Caesar cipher of this and then we'll see if we can't pick out the letters that make something. Not all the capitals. I agree. It's probably not all the capitals. You can probably get rid of the ones that aren't starting a sentence. Okay. Unfortunately, we have to do all this thing again. Okay, let's just try here. Okay, now if we're right, then it's 17. All right, well, I was hoping it would jump out more so we don't have to be so accurate about what letters should be used. But I see spare in there, but the rest of it looks like it's not so easy to pick out what the proper words are. Okay, so well, Anna says beginning of rows, but I'm not sure that's what you really mean, beginning of rows or beginning of sentences. Let's try beginning of. Was beginning of sentences. If it's beginning of rows, it would be F, C, F, L, J, G. Oh, come on, guys. Okay. Okay. It's beginning of rows. F, C, F, L, J, G. Okay, so if it's beginning of rows, we get this, which looks like nonsense. If it's beginning of sentences, we would get F, E, C, no, yes, C, A. Hmm. Is it minus? No bunnies. Is it minus? Hmm. Maybe the chat is figured out. Okay, well, looks like not. Those are all the capitals. Those are all the capitals. This part about spare is very tempting. Where is that in our... Where to God? JGRIV. JGRI. Well, that's not even correct because it should be JGRRIV. Oh, God, that's going to be painful, isn't it? JGRIV. So we don't even get spare. I. Those are all the capitals. If we do only the capitals on the left-hand margin, then we get F, C, F, L, J, G, B, R, B, J, F, I. Okay. That doesn't seem to be anything. We do only the capitals that start sentences. We get F, E, C, A, K, K, F, E, L, LNDH. Looks like nonsense. Are we sure this is a 17 shift? We think it's 17 because of sleepy bunnies, but sleepy bunnies on the riverbank. I wonder if this isn't more complicated that, remember, sleeping bunnies is one, but now look, we've got sleepy bunnies on the riverbank. It almost feels like maybe it's a second step on the cipher, like S to B to R. Is it possible that what we're looking at is S to B, S to B with this, and then to R like this, S to B to R. With this one going clockwise. I would put F to E, P to U, C to H. A to J. It doesn't seem quite right. Anna is wanting to know how to convert wanting me to try certain words, certain letters. Okay, let's try that. If I type what you say, C, F, C, F, C, F, C, F, L, J, G, D, R, V, J, F, I. Almost looks like something. And Tina says, what about just using all the letters that appear in the first row, not only the capitals? That's an interesting idea. Okay. So, and Tina is saying, stop paying attention to just the capitals. Take a look at F, L, C, U, F, L, I, J, G, E, S, V, R. Okay, that does not look right. Okay, I need to search what acrostic is because it's been communicated to me, but I just need to know specifically what they're calling it. Where the first, last, or other letters in a line spell out a particular word or phrase. The most common one is with the first letters of each line. Okay, so in general, it's ambiguous about what letters should be used. Now, that's fine. Okay, so we shouldn't expect it's going to be the first letters in each row. It's some pattern where we're taking some letters out and spelling something. Now, there are some things that make us think, for good reason, that it should be capitals. And the biggest one is this one. The prize is a long lie-in on New Year's Day. That L should not be capitalized. Any other capitalizations that jump out as being weird? Yeah, this one here. Roll on the spring. Probably spring shouldn't be capitalized. And then here, riverbank, this whole statement here, this is our Caesar cipher shift clue. But that does seem to suggest it's capitals. Her acrostic poetry is boringly dull. See all those sleeping bunnies on the riverbank. This is the part that makes me think that we're somehow using this. Another possibility is simply that it's not a 3-step, but it's that we're doing river bunnies, but with this reverse Caesar. Let's see, channel is saying something different. Sleepy bunny part is end with a shift of 14. That's interesting. Okay, and Tina says, what about the letters that appear in the first row? Not only the capitals. And then I tried that. And then Anna says, wait, and Tina is right. So, and Tina says, I decoded it on the internet. Okay. So we've got two different statements here. The first one by Dorian is about what if it's a shift of 14? And then Anna says that Antina's idea was right. Use all the first letters, begin with the T. So what you're saying is that when I did this top line, which seems to be the first letter starting with F, but they're saying, okay, start with the 2. Well, that's fine. That shouldn't make too much of a difference. Then we should get something, and somehow I get what looks like gobbledygook, but Anna says that's the right answer. So is it because the lowercase is confusing us? Let's try it again. I'll capitalize it as I write that. PFLC UFLIJG. I don't understand how that's the right answer. TMULDOUR. Okay, I'll keep going. You say it's right, I'll keep going. So I stopped with the JG. Now we'll continue. P S V R C V E J F I. Okay, I see the last word says censor. Be a spy. Oh, okay. So something's wrong here. But this looks like it's supposed to say, could your spy be a censor? So what's going on here? Why are these first letters not right? T. No. Okay, I don't know what happened here. Oh, I must have mistyped T F L C U F. Could our spy be a censor? Okay. All right. So the reason this attempt didn't look right is because of typos, I guess. I was just typing in. It's a sloppiness that's killing us again. So we tried it and failed purely because I was typing in the wrong letters. All right. Well, it's just, I just, it's hard. It's hard to, like, that has to stop. It can't be that sloppiness in typing things in is leading us to problems. Wish there was a better way to do it. I wish there was a way to avoid me making those typos. Okay, but so Antina was right. It was the first letter of every line, which we tried and got nonsense because of my typing and reading from the screen. Mistakes led us to believe it was wrong, but it's right. Could our spy be a censor? That's the message. Okay. Well, thank God for you guys. And there's no one to blame but me for that one. There's no one to blame for me. I don't know how to fix that. Go slower, type better. Okay, well, whatever. So let us write down the translation for this here. Could our spy be a censor? All right, maybe I've got to work harder at not being so sloppy. 10th December 1943 letter. All right, well, I apologize for that. It's good you guys, it's good you guys double check. All right, so good work to Antina and Anna and DJ Monica. All right. Could our spy be a censor? I guess it could be. That makes logical sense. We don't think so, but maybe. Now, are we going to finally get our Ecker person? What have we got here? Operation Jasmine personnel. Nina Bohm, Ilse Seidel, Ursula Graf, Mila de Jong, Emma Vanderberg, Zoe Zisser, Hannah Nowak, Iga Zelinska, and the MU room team is Frances Wright, Sonia Bergman, Famke Voss, Alice Goldstein. Can be trusted. So we haven't found someone that we don't know what this thing is supposed to be saying. Is it possible that we've misread the first half of this Morse code? Doesn't seem likely, does it? There's our can be trusted, can be trusted. Why would the top two lines be any different? Can be trusted. It also seems to me that they're breaking line. She's breaking words in each line. So can be trusted, like a big long line here. Trusted. So it seems to me like these are two separate words. Annie and Ecker. Annie and Ecker. Is there a different way to translate that? M's, like those E's look a little suspicious, to be honest. Is it possible that those E's are part of this code here? Dash, dot. What a dash, dot. What do we go back to our Morse code here? If we use the E's here, we would get dash, dot. Dot, dash, dash, dot. Let's keep reading. We do have one more document to go. Very strange, though, that we've decoded that message except for that part. All right, last document for us to read. Brigadier S. Menzies from Colonel Kendrick. Third body discovered in grounds. Identification female. Suspect this will turn out to be body of Gretchen Meyer. Request new personnel briefed into Operation Spring. Third body. Third body. Who is the second body? They found the male raper. Why are they saying there's a third body? I thought there's only two people and this should be the second body. That's strange. I do note that Colonel Kendrick is CK. Still, Well, let's make a note. Who is second body? If we go to our notes, maybe it's time for me to start doing some work here. All right, the bus tickets grill says 8. And then I'm just going to put this up here. We'll move it later. Program, Gretchen, body, found, third, him. I guess on our to-do list is Elizabeth's reverse cipher wheel. We don't know what to do with. And then on our list of to do is the we don't know what that means. When was the male body found? Okay, well, are we keeping good notes? Is it in our notes? Let us see. 1943 July, body found, Percival Raper. Okay, let's keep our notes up to date here. So we're adding now that in 1943, October 5th, 3rd, body found. So we have a first body found, Percival Raper, 1943. But I should say that the reason we've dated this 1943 is that Elizabeth is being questioned about it. But if there's a second body, it's possible that she's being questioned about a different body. So let me just remind you that this is the message in August of 93 when she's saying she's been interviewed about the body. 1st of August. That's why we say the body of Raper was found in late July. And going through the old notes, here was the body found. Operation Spring Team informed. So we've marked this as likely happening end of July because that's when Lizzie tells us that she's been interviewed. So I guess we're thinking that somewhere between July and October, they found another second body that we don't know about. And we are confused because we fully expected this coded message to be ruling someone out. We should make a note that this is a note from Penny, right? This is not from Lizzie, right? This is Penny saying, oh, Penny is saying this, not Lizzie. And this is 4th October letter. This is right before they find the third body of Gretchen. John says, could it be saying anyone secure can be trusted? It can't be. It can't be. Because you wouldn't write CKER for secure. Remember, this is, you've got freedom to write whatever you want in Morse code. So if you wanted to write anyone secure, you would write a Y here, anyone, and then you would write SECR. Harry says, Racer's body was found, but wasn't there a reference to a murder in Latimer House? Not that I can remember. I can't remember any other body, but it could be. Could the first one be Gretchen, since they went missing? No, they never found Gretchen's body until just now. I suspect we're going to hear about it in a diary or something. Anna is saying that the message we decoded from Penny was murderer at Latimer, which has now become obviously true. Penny is saying this. Who does Penny know? Maybe we haven't gotten this information yet. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be someone's name. And then we think that we just haven't had need use for this yet. We think we're going to need this later. Is there any chance we translated that wrong? Did anyone double check my Morse code here? EC. Let me just double check this. Dash dot dash dot dash dot dash dot EC, then dash dot dash dash dot dash. We've got our E and dot dash dot Ecker. This is a little weird, right? This little E up here. But so far, the E's are just fillers. 3, 6, 7. Do we think that's just filler? And it thinks we'll use the gear in the next box. Well, it makes sense. I mean, the smart thing would be to say that we've decoded everything here. And we should not kill ourselves trying to decode something that's not. We should wait for the next box. Well, it's time for us to take our break. Petiel says she did double check the Morse code. She got the same thing. Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back. We may be done for tonight. We'll discuss it when we get back. Okay, we're back. It looks like we are basically done with today's box. I'm going to stay around a little bit and update our notes live. We can chat a little bit. DJ Moneycut says, no one else thinks there could be something hidden in the Christmas card. Well, I absolutely do think there could be something hidden in the Christmas card. It seems like there should be. To remind everyone, if we can find it, the Christmas card that DJ Moneycut is talking about is this card here, which is mostly blank. It's very suspiciously blank. DJ Moneycut was saying maybe hold a light to it, to give it some heat. To me, it seems like this is a good candidate for a black light, but I tried a black light on it, and I didn't see anything. It does also kind of look like there's some, like if you hold it up, like what's that? You can see there's like some, almost looks like watercolor-y thing. So, yeah, but we don't know what to do with it. So we've just put it aside. Petiol says, I just watched a bit of what I missed. I'm probably making a leap, but I noted that the general had 8 children who were destined for great things. Could that have anything to do with the bus ticket clue? That's it's interesting. The fact that it's such an early code on May 18th makes me think that it's not. Does it look like it's a card where something could be hidden? Not really. Honestly, not really. The best thing to look at is it kind of looks like there's, like, that's the biggest thing that looks to me like it almost looks like there's some slanted writing here. But on the other hand, it actually looks very symmetric. So I don't know. But the thing is, it was sent, well, yeah, dear Penny, have a wonderful Christmas. But maybe we're going to get some insight to this at some point. We could reread the letter where she talks about sending this Christmas card at some point. Yeah, I mean, it looks like there are kind of letters there that you could almost make out, but not nearly well enough to actually make them out. Right? It almost looks like there are words there. I mean, it does, not almost. It kind of looks like there are words, but I don't know how we would be expected to decode those. They're certainly not legible. And we tried black light, that didn't seem to work. And that doesn't really help. Well, we can come back to that another time. Bithiel says, didn't she say she sent the letter with the card to save on postage? Yes, she did say something along those lines. She was basically saying, well, I sent a letter. Well, I sent you the card to wish you a Merry Christmas, and I also sent a letter inside it so that I wouldn't have to mail 2 different letters. That still begs the question, why would she send a blank card? Okay, we're going to have to come back to that at some point. Maybe when we get access to her diary on the next box, she'll talk about it. But we are going to meet tomorrow night at 11 p.m. to open up the next box and progress the game. But while the chat is here, I'm going to open up and do some note taking. What's my... Didn't I say I made a view where we could... Let me see, where we could see the chat while I worked on it. That's a little crazy. How about that one? No. How about that one? There we go. Okay, so we can put the chat up while I update our notes here, but then you can't see the... I thought I made a view where you could see the chat and the top down. Sort of this view, but you can't really see that tablet well enough to see what I'm typing. All right, so I think probably the best view is this one, and the chat just talk. I'm just going to go through our notes and try to update timeline and stuff. So here's our timeline. Oh, and I wanted to do the operations. Here we go. This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to try to fill in what we know about these operations by going through these. Okay. So in April, Operation Ezekiel, putting her in charge of a small group. So this seems like this happened early. And then where's the other documents? Let's see if maybe these help us a bit. But if you want to leave now, I will see you tomorrow for the next box. Okay, my notes say that Operation Ezekiel was for an August 20. Well, here we have Operation Jasmine, first test. That's August 25th. Why do I say that Ezekiel is mentioned in an August 20? Okay, so here is Operation Ezekiel. Letter written to Penny, simple letter substitution. So is Operation Ezekiel Penny and Lizzie correspondence? Is that what Operation Ezekiel is? Or is it what they're talking about? All right, what other operations do we have? Operation Spring was our telegraph. Okay. So Operation Spring is this. So Operation Spring is the operation involving Percival Draper dead body. We think July 1943. And then Operation Torch is what? Where do we get Operation Torch? 1942. November. Is that this one? Luftwaffe plane shot down Operation Torch. Okay, so Operation Torch is plane shot down POWs. Okay, and then Jasmine is, I've got August 25th. I haven't written down the year, but this is going to be 1943. Operation Jasmine. First test, 4th September. This is Lizzie's Becker, maybe? Maybe it is the fact that you can't write the umlaut over the A, that CKER is trying to say Becker. Von N and Becker. Okay, so let's write down that Operation Jasmine is August 25th, 1943 document, but that it starts September 4 with the POW with Von Ens and Becker. Okay, so that's from our previous box. Now let's integrate our new box. Now, Elizabeth has a natural aptitude. This is in April 1943, and she's saying maybe the individual we're seeking for Operation Ezekiel. Ezekiel is what they're calling. Look at this. I didn't write the date, the year again. This is 1943. August 1943 is when she says they're listening in. So in 1943, Operation Ezekiel, they're listening in on Penny and Elizabeth. And now here comes April 1943. Before that happens, aptitude for, kind of weird. I don't see the connection between that Ezekiel and this Ezekiel. Here in April 43, they're saying they're considering her for Operation Ezekiel. She might have the aptitude. And then we're saying that, take a look at this. Here they are, 1st of April. They think she might be suitable for Operation Ezekiel. May, June, July, August. 4 months later, they find a note from her, a cipher, and this is part of Operation Ezekiel. That's weird. That seems weird to me. Like, why? I'm not sure what that means. Here's their eugenics. We don't know what operation that is. War crimes, eugenics. Okay, so we're updating Operation Jasmine now. Operation Jasmine is more POW listening. Okay. War crimes. So notice W0552, W0552. This is Operation Jasmine war crime. So maybe we should write down here that Operation Jasmine looks like it might be W0552 war crimes. I don't know if that means all W0552 war is going to be Operation Jasmine, or if all Operation Jasmine is always W0552. But here is Operation Spring. This is Percival Raper was dead, according to our notes. And here they're talking about when Penny and Lizzie brought it to their attention. So actually, Operation Spring, this might be W0558 material. And then what we think we're saying is that by October 5, 1943, Penny and Lizzie might have been read into this soon after. He's certainly recommending that they be. Okay. So here's Operation Jasmine under W0472. So you can't assume that that Jasmine is all W0552 because sometimes it's also something else, W0472. Not completely predictable. And then we're told that Jasmine code J1LH. Keep your eye open for that. That means Jasmine. Here's another Operation Jasmine W0223. So we can't really use that, but maybe we should be keeping track of who works in each. Prisoner transfer. That was the bad prisoner. And this was our, could it be a censor? Okay, here's more Operation Jasmine personnel. No date on this. Front house M room team. So let me just understand this here. Here's Jasmine, new staff, 29 October. And then here's an undated note of other employees. So we'll list employees W0599 in box 5. I'm not going to write them all down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 front house, 4 M room. Okay. And then we have Operation Spring. This is our third body. So let's go back up to Operation Spring. They found the first body 1943 July. Then they talk about bringing Penny and Lizzie in on October 5th, the same date that this telegram came out. Then October 5th, 1943, third body found, Gretchen Meyer. Okay. And then I do have at top our notes about anyone Ecker can be trusted. Let's make a note that we remember. Note from Penny, October 4, 1943. And then this, I'll make a better note about this. Wizzy, we call this a clockwise Caesar cipher wheel. It's also got 5 numbers on it, 5 zeros. That's from box 5. The J1 LH1 code was one on them that was on our thing. Let me just check in with the chat. Okay, Petiol is leaving. Jonathan is leaving. Should be N-E-O-N, not N-E-O-N-E. Okay. I had a thought. Okay, good. So one thought is that comes out from looking at the date. Look at the dates. We've got this message from Penny to Lizzie is on October 4th. She's saying something can be trusted, person can be trusted. And then on October 5th, 2 things happen. So the day Penny writes and says something can be trusted, and then look what happens the very next day. Colonel Kendrick, DKR, Colonel Kendrick says, recommend that you tell Lizzie and Penny, bring them into Operation Spring. The pair have uncovered the situation independently. and have brought this to my attention today. And then that same day, they've discovered a new body of Gretchen. So is this note from Penny on the 4th saying you can trust this guy Kendrick, CKR? Is that what's happening? But then I don't understand. I mean, that's not the way you would write his name. You would write Kendrick or K. So, but it is interesting that this is happening the day before they apparently go into the office and tell him what they figured out. I mean, CKER. Still doesn't seem right, though. Can be trusted. Anion Ecker. Could this be doubly encoded somehow? I mean, they are using this Caesar cipher 17 often. Does this go into the Caesar cipher and give us anything? ANEONECKER. No. Why would she double encode the name anyway? Where's that letter from her? CKER. CKER. They are talking about one of these generals being trustworthy, so it wouldn't be crazy for her to be saying one of them. But why would she be spelling his name that way? Etiel says, I did look up how to encode umlauts in Morse code, but it doesn't seem relevant. The other thing that seems so odd about this is that it really feels like these are line word breaks. so that this should be a word and this should be a word. Where is the letter from Penny that accompanied this 4th of October letter, according to me? This one. Let me take a look at this again. She's talking about a chess club a lot. She's met someone named Joan, who's good. I got your cookbook. Three, 6, 7 is down here with the E's. Okay. No something options there. I note, I guess your mom would use it in the vegetable stew. I mean, there is a vegetable stew recipe. And we do have a 3, 6, 7. Next word is the, though. Doesn't seem useful to us. And she says, I found a Fair Isle knitting pattern in the local library. Thought it might be good for those socks you want to knit. Copied it out as best I could. Hopefully you can make something of it. It was socks you were thinking of bringing for his Christmas present, wasn't it? So we turned this into Morse code. We didn't make any use of this part about it being a fair isle, right? We didn't make use of the fact that about this clue about Fair Isle. I mean, it wouldn't be insane that she would encrypt the name more heavily. She seems, this must be some ingredient she's saying that's not in there, but it is a little weird that she says, yes, your mom could use it in the vegetable stew. She is mentioning vegetable stew that exists, but I don't see a good way to use that. I mean, this is suspicious. 3, 6, 7. But I can't. Doesn't really give us anything. DJ Moneycut says the ingredient she's talking about in the letter is a gorgonzola, a flower with an edible root like a parsnip. Interesting. Seems like she should be clearing another name from the same list as Gus, but none of them seem even close. I agree with you. I agree with you, except it's Penny writing. That's the only thing that's throwing us. The other clearing was Gus. Now she's clearing. Now it's Penny. But yeah, it really does seem like she should be clearing people from that list. Could our spy be a censor? Where is that original list? Maybe it would be useful for us to put that list in our notes. Let's get this list in our notes. Okay, this was our box 4. We're going to say 28 November. 28 November, box 4, reassignment to M room list. So this was our list where she cleared Goose Felt. So we think we expected her to clear other people. Let's see, Phillips, Rosa Boer. It may just be that the game is being tricky and giving us all different times and places that new people are coming into that room. Like in today's box, we got another list of people that are involved. So it may just be that we're getting an increasing list of people that are part of this. Who's at front, who's at back. But boy, it is very weird that this message that we can't make sense of the beginning of this message. I mean, this makes it look like we've decoded it right because it's odd to get a pronounceable thing. DJ Moneycut says in the channel, presumably the murderer couldn't be one of the prisoners. They're all locked up. Well, don't forget, this is Penny writing to Lizzie. We don't know that she's talking about the murderer. She could be answering a different question. She could be saying anything. My theory before was that this letter gets sent the day before they tell the colonel. So it would make sense if what she's saying is, hey, you can trust Kendrick, Colonel Kendrick. And the reason that makes sense is because the very next day, Colonel Kendrick says, hey, they just came to me and they figured it out. They figured out something. I suggest we bring them in. So it makes complete sense that this message might be saying you can trust the Colonel. Look at how we're getting more different messages about new people detailed to Jasmine. Seems suspicious to me that like but maybe they're just to throw us off from the fact that it could be the boyfriend. So it feels to me like this could say, hey, you can trust Colonel Kendrick, and here's Colonel Kendrick saying, okay, they came to me and told me about it. Wouldn't that make sense that she's like, okay, you can bring it to him because you can trust him, but I don't know why. I don't know why we can't make sense of it. Well, it seems weird to change up your code in the middle. I mean, we don't really think we're going to find someone later that's got this name, Annie and Ecker. Right? That's not going to be someone's name. So what is going wrong? It's so strange to me. They're breaking up words very deliberately. That suggests that these are two separate words. But maybe we're going to get a hint about it in our next box. Let's do it differently before we finish this. If it's true that they're breaking lines appropriately, if a theory that these have to be decoded additionally, you could at least say you've got a 5-letter and a 5-letter word if there's additional Caesar cipher coming out. In that case, we don't have any names here that are 5 and 5. What about in our new list? Any new people? Nearly 6? No. Any 5 and 5 here? Hannah Noack. Well, if it's a Caesar cipher, it can't be Hananoic because HA, she's got a double N. That wouldn't be possible for a Caesar cipher. And that's it. And our list of generals. Well, we've got a bunch of generals with 5-letter last names, but no first names, so that doesn't help us. All right, I think we might be, a typo could mess it up. Not, I don't, a typo could mess up our breaking of it, but it's not gonna. I don't know. Would a typo? Well, you're right. It could break up. Not really, because the spaces are pretty consistently at 2 blank. So here's our be trusted. So even if you got a couple of these wrong, most of your letters would be right. This looks like it could be Becker. That would be our first one here. M's, M's. This is the same thing. This has got E's around the M's. This has got E's around the M's. We just looked at the M's. All right. Well, we will return to this. I'm very curious about this thing. It's one of those things where it really stands out as being solvable, figure outable. But maybe we'll figure it out in our next letter. Thank you all for joining me, especially those who stuck around for the extra stuff. At least our notes are up to date. That should help us going forward. I'll see you all at 11 p.m. tonight for box